Greetings from the Book Whisper. Every story is a journey into a world of love, passion, deception, and self-discovery. Close your eyes, let the sounds carry you away, and may this story touch your heart. Title: The Weight of Water. Chapter 1, The Calm. The town of Halcyon Bay was a postcard cupped in salt-bleached hands. Its cottages, painted in faded mint and buttercream, clung to the granite cliffs like barnacles, overlooking a harbor where fishing boats named Serenity and Providence bobbed in a dance as old as the town itself. For Noah, steering the wanderer back into the cobalt embrace of the harbor at dusk, the view was the daily benediction. The rhythm of the sea was in his blood, a steady, predictable beat that echoed in the creak of his deck and the cry of gulls. His wife, Emma, was the anchor to his vessel. 10 years of marriage had etched comfortable lines around her hazel eyes, lines he loved more than the smooth skin of her youth. She ran the town's small bookshop, the Selkies Page, where the smell of old paper and fresh coffee was as constant as the tides. Their life was a quiet sonnet of early mornings, shared silences over the newspaper, and the deep, unspoken love built on trust and the gentle wear of time. The calm broke with the arrival of Oliver Thorne. Oliver was a writer from the city, renting the old Carmichael cottage for the summer to finish his novel. He was everything Noah wasn't: urbane, effortlessly talkative, with a disarming smile and hands that had never hauled a net. He became a fixture in Emma's bookshop, buying volumes of local history and poetry, engaging her in conversations about Bronte and Carver with an intensity that made her feel seen in a way she hadn't in years. It started as a professional courtesy, then a friendship. Noah, busy with the peak season's catch, was vaguely pleased his wife had found someone with shared interests. The first fisher appeared at a town barbecue at Sophia and William's house, under strings of fairy lights, with the smell of grilled salmon in the air. Noah saw Oliver make him a fateful, throaty sound that sent a strange pang through him. Later, handing him a beer, Oliver's gaze lingered a moment too long on Emma, who was chatting with Charlotte, the sharp-eyed painter, and Isabella, who owned the antique store. "You're a lucky man, Noah," Oliver said, his voice smooth as single malt. "Emma's a remarkable woman, there's a depth to her, a story waiting to be told." Noah shrugged, the fisherman's ingrained mistrust of pretty words surfacing. "She's just Emma." But that night, watching her sleep, the phrase echoed, "a story waiting to be told, by whom?" Chapter 2, The Undertow. Emma felt the shift like a change in barometric pressure. Oliver's attention was a warm, focused sun. He listened, truly listened, when she spoke of her dreams of expanding the shop, her secret, shelved desire to write a novel about the Bay's Selkie legends. Noah was her bedrock, but Oliver made her feel like a current, swift and alive. The contrast was intoxicating and terrifying. Their conversations migrated from the shop to long walks along the storm beach. One afternoon, a sudden squall caught them. They took shelter in the lee of the lighthouse, breathless and laughing, their clothes soaked. In the dim, damp space, the air crackled. Oliver brushed a strand of wet hair from her cheek. "Emma," he whispered, his voice lost in the roar of the rain. She pulled back, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. "I can't." But she had wanted to. The desire, sharp and shocking, was a riptide pulling her from her safe shore. The intrigue began subtly. Oliver started asking Noah about the old shipwrecks, about the dangerous currents near the Black Rocks. He'd join him for a beer at the Salty Dog, playing the eager student. Noah, a man of few words, found himself talking more than usual. Oliver was easy to talk to, yet, sometimes, Noah would catch a speculative gleam in Oliver's eye that had nothing to do with nautical charts. Meanwhile, Amelia, the young, ambitious waitress at the pub, had developed a fierce crush on Oliver, which he tolerated with benign amusement, sometimes flirting back just enough to keep her hooked. Sophia, from the bakery, noticed Emma's distracted air and the new, secretive light in her eyes, and mentioned it to her husband, William, the town's only lawyer. "Something's off with Emma," she'd murmur over morning coffee. William, pragmatic, dismissed it as summer nonsense. Charlotte, the painter, observed everything from behind her easel set up on the pier. She began a new series, not the landscapes she was known for, but portraits of the townspeople. She painted Emma with a distant, yearning look in her eyes, and Noah with the subtle tension in his jaw he himself wasn't aware of. She painted Oliver too, capturing not his charm, but a certain hungry calculation in his posture. She showed the portrait to Evelyn, the retired schoolteacher and town archivist, who nodded grimly. He asks a lot of questions, that one, about the old families, the scandals, especially about the Ariadne. Chapter 3, The Seduction. The betrayal happened on a night Noah was supposed to be at a council meeting about fishing quotas. The meeting was cancelled last minute. He decided to surprise Emma, maybe take her for a late drink. The Wanderer was docked, needing minor repairs, so he walked the winding path from the harbor to the high street. As he approached the Selkies page, he saw the soft glow from the back room window, Emma's private nook. He saw two shadows. One was Emma, her head tilted back in laughter. The other leaned in, his silhouette unmistakably Oliver's, and kissed her. Not a fleeting touch, but a deep, consuming kiss. Emma's hand came up, not to push him away, but to clutch at his shirt. The world narrowed to that rectangle of light. The solid ground of his life turned to shifting sand. A cold, silent fury locked his limbs. The fisherman in him knew better than to fight a storm in open water. You waited, you prepared, you survived. He turned and walked away, the salt air tasting of metal and betrayal. Emma came home late, her lips slightly swollen, her eyes bright with guilt and a residual thrill. Noah sat in the dark kitchen, a bottle of whiskey and two untouched glasses between them. The meeting was cancelled, he said, his voice flat, devoid of the roar she expected. Her face strained of color. Noah, we were just talking, and then, don't. The word was a gavel, final and heavy, just don't. He didn't shout, he didn't accuse. His silence was a vast, freezing ocean between them. He simply got up, took his pillow, and walked to the small, spare room that smelled of old books and sea damp. The click of the door latch was the loudest sound Emma had ever heard. Chapter 4, The Frost in the Web. The following days were an Arctic freeze in the cottage. Conversations were logistical, the net needs mending. Sophia called about the rent. Emma was awash in shame, but a treacherous part of her, the part Oliver had awakened, throbbed with the memory of the kiss and mourned the lost, illicit passion. She ended it with Oliver the next day in the bookshop, her voice trembling. Oliver accepted it with a strange, solemn grace. I understand, he said, his eyes holding a secret sorrow that felt like a hook in her heart. It was too real, too much. I'll always cherish it, Emma. His words, designed to haunt, found their mark. But the damage was done. Their life became a careful performance for their friends. At gatherings, Noah would stand a little too close to Emma, his hand on her lower back, a claim, not a caress. She would laugh a little too brightly. Sophia's concerned glances grew more frequent. Charlotte watched them with her artist's eye, noting the invisible wall. Oliver, meanwhile, deepened his web. He began reading passages from his novel in progress at the Salty Dog, drawing a small, fascinated crowd. The stories were of halcyon bay, but twisted tales of drowned secrets, of wives waiting for sailors lost to the sea, of love curdled into obsession. One story, The Fisherman's Wife, was a barely veiled account of a lonely woman taking a lover while her husband was at sea. The lover in the story was a painter, not a writer, a clever deflection. Everyone found them compelling, darkly beautiful. Amelia listened, starry-eyed. Evelyn frowned, tapping her fingers on the table. Noah, sitting at the bar, felt the words like barbs. He saw Emma in every tragic heroine, himself in every doomed, cuckolded husband. The public dissection was a new, exquisite torture. Driven by rage that had no outlet, Noah began his own quiet investigation. He asked old Henry at the Maritime Museum, under the guise of updating his charts, about other writers who'd come to the bay. Henry, careless and fond of Noah, mentioned a few. That Thorne fellow, Henry mused, polishing a brass compass. He was mighty interested in the Ariadne wreck, too. Spin towers on the logs and the inquest reports. Morbid, if you ask me. Asked more about the wife, Lillian, and that fancy man she was supposed to run off with, than the ship itself. Like he was writing a romance, not a maritime history. The Ariadne was local legend. In 1958, Captain Jonah Hale's schooner had foundered on the Black Rocks in a clear night. Gossip said he'd been drunk with grief because his young wife, Lillian, had vanished days before, presumably with a wealthy summer visitor. Their bodies were never found. The official verdict was accident, but the town believed it was a broken heart that steered the ship onto the rocks. A cold suspicion, deeper and more venomous than jealousy, began to coil in Noah's gut. He started watching Oliver not as a rival, but as a predator studying a habitat. Chapter 5, The Second Front. Noah's suspicion found an unlikely ally, Matteo, the quiet, observant owner of the harbor chandlery. Matteo supplied Oliver with boat hire for research trips out to the Black Rocks. He doesn't care about the rocks, Matteo told Noah one evening as they sorted gear. He asks about the cottage lights at night, which ones stay on late, who lives where. He asked about your house, Noah, and about Charlotte's studio. He's a snoop. Then, the break came from Amelia, heartbroken and humiliated after Oliver gently but firmly rejected her earnest advances. She'd gone through his recycling bin behind the Carmichael cottage in a fit of pique. Among empty wine bottles and coffee grounds, she found crumpled pages, not of a novel, but of detailed, intrusive notes. They were clinical observations. Yearning for validation, intellectual insecurity leveraged through literary discourse, marriage stable but passion dormant, prime catalyst, physical attraction confirmed, proceed. An archetype of strong, silent type, vulnerability, deep, unarticulated love free and fear of inadequacy, infertility struggles, unconfirmed, likely response to betrayal, internalized rage, not confrontation, useful for tension. See subject C, painter, trauma, sister lost at sea, suicide. Uses art as sublimation, potential for explosive emotional revelation, cultivate trust. Scribbled in the margin by Emma's name was, catalyst secured, phase 1 complete, proceed to phase 2, erosion of trust and social isolation. Amelia, her childish crush turning to stomach-churning revulsion, brought the damp, smelly pages to Noah at the Wanderer, her hands shaking. Noah read them under the dock light, the clinical dissection of his wife, of his marriage, of his private pain, the mention of their infertility, a sorrow they shared with no one, was a punch to the gut, ignited a fury so profound it was calm. This was worse than an affair, this was a violation of their very souls. He showed the pages to Emma that night in the spare room. Her initial horror at being caught gave way to a deeper, more profound devastation. She had been a character, her deepest feelings, her loneliness, her intellectual hunger, all just data points, levers to be pulled. Her passion had been a scripted response. He was studying us, she whispered, the humiliation complete. I was a fool. We both were, Noah said, the we a fragile bridge across the chasm, but he's not done. He's writing his ending. We need to write ours. Chapter 6, The Counterplot. They began to perform, but this time as co-authors. Emma, already a master of quiet anguish from the past months, let Oliver see her struggling. She arranged a chance meeting at the grocery store, her eyes red-rimmed, from genuine shame, now redirected. Noah, he's so cold, he'll never forgive me, it's like living with the ghost of the man I loved. She fed Oliver's narrative of a marriage in its death throes. Noah played his part at the pub, drinking a single beer slowly, telling Matteo and William within earshot of others about a threatening letter from a creditor back in Portland, a complete fiction. He muttered about selling the Wanderer, about maybe signing on with a trawler fleet up north. He let the town see a man breaking. They leaked other fragments. Emma confided in Sophia, swearing her to secrecy, about a past debt Noah had hidden. Sophia, genuinely worried, became an unwitting amplifier. Charlotte noticed Noah visiting Evelyn at the archive more frequently, looking into old property deeds, a ruse to suggest he was planning to liquidate assets. Oliver watched it all, his notes growing feverish. The town buzzed with the tragic, gossip-worthy collapse of one of its steady couples. The social isolation they performed felt, at times, dangerously real. The final piece of their trap required the town. Noah and Emma went to Charlotte first, then Evelyn, then Sophia and William. They showed them Amelia's evidence. The outrage was immediate and collective. Charlotte recognized her own pain being mined. Evelyn saw her historical records weaponized. Sophia felt used as a gossip vector. William saw legal and ethical violations. A silent pact was forged in the back room of Evelyn's archive. Chapter 7, The Reckoning. The climax was set during the annual Halcyon Regatta, the town's biggest celebration. The harbor was a forest of masts, the air thick with the smell of fried dough and excitement. Oliver, believing his narrative had reached its peak, had received a desperate note from Emma, penned by Noah, forged in her hand. "I can't breathe anymore. Meet me at the old boathouse after the fireworks, please, I need you." As the sky exploded in chrysanthemums of light, painting the crowd in washes of color, Noah was not at the pub. He was with his coalition: Charlotte, Evelyn, Matteo, Sophia, William, Henry, and a stern-faced Isabella. Even Amelia stood with them, vindicated. They moved silently through the back lanes, a shadow against the celebratory glow. Emma stood in the cavernous, dark boathouse, the smell of decay and the lap of water loud in the silence. Oliver entered, a figure of triumph against the dying flashes of the fireworks. "It's time, Emma," he said, voice low and fervent. "Leave the ghost of your life behind. We'll write our own story, a true one. I've got it all. The pain, the longing, the escape. It's perfect." "What's the title, Oliver?" Emma asked, her voice steady, carrying in the hollow space, "The Gullible Woman of Halcyon Bay, or maybe How to Manufacture a Tragedy?" He froze. The door creaked open. Not just Noah, but the entire group filed in, blocking the moonlit entrance. Their faces were not angry, but grim, settled. Noah stepped forward, holding a folder. "You came for a story, Thorn. You're in one, but you're not the author here. You're the antagonist, and your arc ends tonight." One by one, they spoke, their voices calm, their facts lethal. "Charlotte, you asked me if my sister's suicide felt like a betrayal of your art, or a gift to it. Evelyn, you copied private diary entries from the Hale family archives regarding Lillian. Matteo, you charted the view of bedrooms from the water, not the rocks. Sophia, voice trembling with anger, you used my worry for my friends as a thermometer for your plot. William held up a digital recorder, and your discussions about character motivation and real-life consequences constitute intentional infliction of emotional distress. We have a case, Mr. Thorn." Oliver's charming facade shattered like sheep glass. Panic, then a sneering contempt flashed across his face. "You're all so small, your lives are petty dramas in a forgotten town. I was elevating it, giving it meaning. This is research. It's predation," Noah said, his voice like iron. "And now you're leaving, tonight. You will get in your car, and you will drive. If any word of your novel ever surfaces, if any of us ever see you near Halcyon Bay again, every publisher, every agent, every literary blog will receive this file." He lifted the folder. "Your notes, a testimony of your methods. You'll be a pariah, a footnote about ethics, not a celebrated author." The last firework faded, leaving them in profound darkness, broken only by the green glow of bioluminescence in the water below the boathouse. Oliver, stripped of his narrative, looked suddenly small and empty. Without another word, he pushed past them and disappeared into the night. Epilogue, the new tide. Oliver was gone by morning, the Carmichael cottage was empty, the key left on the table. The town, bound by the shared experience of violation, did not speak of him openly. He became a bad memory, a shared ghost. The aftermath for Noah and Emma was not a simple return. The affair, though now framed as a manipulation, had been real in its moment. The kiss, the longing, the betrayal, these were Emma's choices, however manipulated. The hurt in Noah's eyes was a scar they both had to tend. Therapy, sought in the city where anonymity was possible, helped. They learned to talk about the infertility grief Oliver had sniffed out. They learned to argue, not in silent frost, but with words that, while painful, were real. The love they had built wasn't the fleeting, dramatic passion Oliver mimicked and exploited. It was something slower and stronger. It was the deep water current that had been stirred up, revealing old wounds and sunk debris, but whose essential direction remained true. One evening, a year later, they stood on the deck of the Wanderer, now refurbished, heading out for a rare pleasure cruise at sunset. Emma leaned into Noah, his arm solid and familiar around her. "He thought he understood stories," she said softly, watching the town recede, its lights beginning to twinkle like grounded stars. "He thought they were about the big moments, the passion, the betrayal, the dramatic reveal." Noah rested his chin on her head, breathing in the scent of her shampoo and the sea. "What are they about, then?" Emma was quiet for a long moment. A seal broke the surface nearby, its eyes dark and knowing. About what comes after the dramatic reveal, she said finally, about the weight you carry, and who helps you bear it, about quiet harbors after long, stormy voyages, about rebuilding the boat while it's still at sea. He held her tighter, the boat rocking gently on the swells. Halcyon Bay lived up to its name, a halcyon calm settling not over a perfect, untroubled life, but over one that had been shattered and then carefully, knowingly, chosen anew. The real intrigue, they had learned, was not in the spectacular shattering, but in the patient, often unseen, daily work of fitting the pieces back together. The mosaic they were creating had cracks, lines of gold where the breaks had been repaired with hard-won understanding. It was not the same as before. It was, in its own flawed and resilient way, more beautiful. The wanderer turned its boat towards the open sea, ready to face the deep, dark water, and the steady, guiding light of home. Dear listeners of the Book Whisper, we hope you've been left with a lasting impression. We're constantly searching for new stories to share with you. Don't miss what's next. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Give us a like if you'd love more audiobooks like this. Until our next meeting on the pages of our tales.